Ronin Mode Unmasked. Chapter 37, Life is Balance. At this point in the story, some of you may be asking, Paul, if you and Deanna did have real feelings for each other, then why the hell would you just walk away from that? Especially right after she finally admitted it? And honestly, all I can tell you guys is life is complicated. It is not like what you see in the movies. It is not like those cheesy romance novels where two people finally admit how they feel and everything magically works out after that. Real life does not work like that. Real life gets messy. Real life gets painful. Real life makes you choose between what your heart wants and what your life can actually hold. Deanna had issues, and truthfully, at that time, so did I. And what she told me about not being ready to settle down, about still trying to find herself. Yeah. All of that ended up being true. Because years later, when I got back into music and decided to pursue it full-time back in 2019, I reached back out to her. Not because I was trying to hook back up or anything like that. Not at all. I reached out because I wanted her honest opinion on the music I was making at the time. Me and Dee always had similar taste in music, and she had a little musical background herself too. Like I said before, her mom made her take piano lessons as a kid, and her dad was a drummer in his own band and had been in the scene forever. Also, truthfully, I just wanted her to know I was making music again. I did not want it to be some half-assed thing I talked about and never really followed through on. So we talked. And then we caught up on everything that had happened since I left Texas. And while I was with Sophie the whole time, Dee went through multiple relationships and even had a kid. God bless him. But she never got married. Never really settled down with anybody for real. And that was the thing I had feared all along. Now when I talk about my old friends, it is never coming from a place of hate. If it seems like that sometimes, it is because I still care deeply about all of them. That is the truth. Always did, always will. I wanted nothing but the best for all of them. And yeah, it does hurt my heart that some of them never got to experience what me and Sophie have. And do not get me wrong, me and Sophie have been through hell and back these past 18 years. We have fought. We have struggled. We have even left each other a few times. But it never lasted more than 2 weeks. But we never gave up on each other, and somehow we still ended up building a beautiful life together through it all, the good times and bad times. Me and Deanna eventually started exchanging pictures of our sons and catching up every now and then. But I remember when I sent her a picture of Daniel. I do not know. There was this look in her response that almost felt sad for a second. Like maybe somewhere deep down inside she was thinking, what if? And honestly, that kinda hurt my heart too. Anyway, Sophie did end up finding out I was talking to her. And I tried explaining to her that it was nothing crazy. Just friendship. Just two people from each other's past catching up after a lot of years. But Sophie still got upset about it. And eventually her and Deanna actually ended up arguing with each other over the whole thing. And that was always kind of the thing with Sophie. I loved her to death. Still do. But she was always extremely jealous when it came to me. Especially when it came to women from my past. And I already know some of you are probably sitting there thinking, Paul, that is toxic. How could you put up with that? And honestly, you are not completely wrong. Too much jealousy absolutely can become unhealthy. But here is the thing, guys. I have also been in relationships where the other person barely cared at all. And trust me, that does not feel great either. At least from my experience, a little jealousy is normal. Sometimes it is just a sign that somebody truly loves you and is scared to lose you. Now obviously, if it gets too extreme, that becomes toxic because it means there is no trust anymore. And without trust, eventually everything falls apart. So just like anything else in life, I believe it is about balance. At least that was what I learned studying the martial arts. Life is balance. And I am glad to say that Sophie has matured a lot over the years and is way more chill about that kind of stuff. 1000% facts. Ronin Mode Unmasked. Chapter 38. The dawn is over. So yeah, guys, I am not a psychic or anything like that, but I think I did end up making the right choice back then by walking away when I did. Because once I got things resolved with Deanna, I knew I had to go straight to Dawn and do the same thing while I still had the momentum. Before I lost my nerve. Dawn's parents' house was not too far from where Dee worked, so I jumped in the Love Boat, my 1978 Oldsmobile, and drove straight to Dawn's house. I remember gripping the wheel a little tighter than normal on the way over there. Not because I was scared exactly. More like I knew this was one of those moments that was either going to clear everything up or make it messy. And I was tired of dragging old shit around. I pulled up, got out, walked right to the front door, and rang the bell. Maybe 20 seconds later, the door opened, and it was Dawn. She looked surprised. "Paul? Where have you been? I was getting worried about you." I looked at her and said, "Is it cool if we talk for a minute?" She stepped back and said, "Come in." And I told her, it would be better if we just talk outside, if that is cool with you. So I walked back to my car and sat on the trunk while she came out and stood right in front of me. The air felt heavy. Not dramatic. Just heavy. The kind of heavy that hangs between two people who both know this is not about to be a cute little conversation. "Where have you been, Paul?" she asked. "You never returned any of my calls or responded to any of my texts. I figured you were just upset about the whole Facebook thing and needed a little time to chill out. But when I did not hear back from you the next day, I went to your apartment to talk. Nobody came to the door, and I did not see your car, so I figured you must still have been at your aunt's house. So I went back there, but when I asked to see you, some short little dude said you were not there. That had to be Pee-wee. I thought to myself, yeah, that sounds like Pee-wee. I asked him if he could tell me where you were, but he said the only thing he knew was you had gone out of town for some kind of family emergency and he did not know anything else. He was kind of rude to me, honestly. Yeah, Dawn, that was probably my cousin Pee-wee, and honestly, I do not think he is a fan of yours." That made her tighten up a little. "So where were you, Paul?" she asked, nervously playing with her long blonde dreadlocks. I took a breath. She was dressed up like she was planning on going somewhere later. She was wearing some kind of long-sleeve dress shirt with a blue sleeveless sweater on top of it, and her hair looked like it had just been recently done. Her face was all dolled up. Honestly, she looked good. But I did not even care anymore at that point. I just wanted to get this shit over with. "Look, Dawn, it is a long story, but if you really want to know, I went to Phoenix to get out of town for a little while. I was getting sick of Texas, and I needed some space to clear my head." "Oh, okay, Paul. I mean, it was kind of lonely without you. I was hoping we were going to spend the holidays together, you know, like last time." She looked at me with those crazy Asian-like blue eyes of hers. They were more blue than green that day, I remember. And I could tell she was trying to pull me back in already. That was one thing Dawn always did. She knew how to turn the heat up when she wanted something. But this time I was not playing that game. "Look, Dawn, I am going to cut to the chase," I said. "When you finally called me to talk about what happened on New Year's and apologized, I was actually kind of happy. Do not get me wrong, I am still kind of hurt about the whole thing, truth be told. But I figured at least you were finally trying to do the right thing. And when you told me Thanksgiving was not the same without me, and that you missed me? Yeah, that sparked something in me again. I looked right at her. I still have feelings for you, Dawn. I am not going to lie about that. I honestly thought for a while that you could have been the one. The one I spent the rest of my life with. She stared at me. But after we fought that day in your car and I left town, I finally had enough time to really process all of it. And I am here to tell you now, once and for all, I do not want to be with you anymore. I think it is best for everybody if we just let it go and move on with our lives, truthfully. Dawn frowned immediately. Paul, you do not really mean that. You are just still upset a little. All you really need is more time. And you cannot blame me for everything, Paul. We both had been drinking. Deanna had a lot to do with it too. I know, Dawn, I said. And you are right. That was not the first time something like that happened with Deanna. What? Dawn said. Her jaw hit the floor. What do you mean? Like Deanna also got other girls drunk? No, Dawn. Not like that. I could already see where her mind was going, so I stopped her there. There was this another girl before you. Her name was Amber. She was this wild, crazy ex-stripper chick I used to mess around with for fun. And on Deanna's birthday, yeah, we all got wasted, and her and Deanna did fool around and ended up doing stuff together. So yeah, I said, what you are saying is pretty much true. I know that. Okay, cool, she said. So you understand then, Paul, that the whole thing on New Year's was not really my fault. It was really Dee and her boyfriend. I shook my head. I hear you, Dawn, but there is one problem with your logic. She looked confused. Amber, the wild, crazy ex-stripper girl who probably did more crazy wild shit in her life than all of us put together, did not end up making a complete whore out of herself by saying, hey, why don't we all have a foursome right here, right now, and then immediately start fucking and sucking Deanna's boyfriend right in front of everybody like you did, Dawn. By then my voice was starting to rise. And Dawn could tell. So can you please explain that part to me? I asked. How that ended up happening. Is that something you learned in Sunday school or Bible study, Dawn? That made her go quiet. She looked down, embarrassed, and kept messing with her dreadlocks. Finally she asked, what do you want from me, Paul? I already said I was sorry. If I could take it back, I would. All of that was a year ago now. Then her voice shifted. Then she ended up moving her body right against mine and put both her hands around my neck and said softly into my ear, look, Paul, I know you. I know what you really want out of life. You want a nice pretty girl to settle down with and maybe have a family with someday. I can still be that girl for you, Paul. But only if you are willing to let all of this go. She began kissing me on the neck slowly, softly. And whispered, a fresh start, Paul. You, me, Bob's, and maybe someday soon a little Paul Jr. or something. And honestly, when she said that, it kinda hit me in the chest for a second. Because she was not wrong. A little Paul Jr. or something. That was the part that really got to me. It was right then and there I realized what this was all really about. Deanna. Dawn. Sophie. All the girls I had been seeing up until that point in my life. What I really wanted the whole time was not just some messy back and forth with a bunch of women who could not even make up their minds. I wanted something real. I wanted a little Paul Jr. I wanted to stop playing stupid games with stupid women and have something solid. Deep down inside, I wanted to be a father. I wanted to give back the same thing my father had given me for those brief 5 or 6 years. I pushed her away, not hard enough to hurt her, but hard enough to make her stop what she was trying to do to me. I looked her right in her eyes and said, "Yeah, you are right, Dawn. I do want to be a father. I always did. You know my past, Dawn. You know what happened to me when I was just a small kid, and you also know that when I was only 10, my adopted father walked out on me and my mom. And not long after that, she got sick and eventually died from it. But there is another problem too, Dawn." At that point I could tell I was really getting to her because she was like, "Yeah? What is it now, Paul? I met someone new over the holidays. Her name is Sophie. She is 19, and no, Dawn, she is not perfect either. But I would bet my life that she would never hurt me the same way you hurt me." Then I let it hang there for a second. "So like I told you a year ago on New Year's Day, and please try to get that through your thick hippie skull this time, it is over between you and me, Dawn, and I never want to see you again." Before she could even make a big protest about it, I hopped in my car, the Love Boat, stomped on the gas, burned rubber on her, and never looked back. 1000% facts.